Every time I make a video that mentions Bluetooth-enabled hearing protection, I get a handful of people that tell me it's dangerous to listen to music while you're using tools, and it's irresponsible of me to even recommend protection with that feature. Sometimes I wonder what these people think of car radios, but it does no good to argue. Their minds are already made up, and that's fine. But are they correct? Does listening to music or an audiobook or whatever you happen to enjoy really present an increased risk to the average person who may be using a dangerous tool like a table saw or a lawnmower or a homemade angle grinder powered wood chipper? Well, as someone who has long listened to music and audiobooks in many woodworking shops and who still has all 10 fingers, 11 toes, and 3 nipples, I have always believed that a power tool can be used safely while listening to Pearl Jam and my favorite flannel shirt. But that's just my personal opinion. What do the experts say? Well, it turns out that there are actual studies that have been conducted on this subject. And one thing is clear. Music is widely and safely listened to in all sorts of working environments. One study in the UK showed that 73% of warehouse workers found they were more productive when listening to music. A US study found that IT specialists who listened to music completed tasks more quickly and came up with better ideas than those who didn't. Another study showed that 9 out of 10 people performed their work faster and more accurately when listening to music, including tasks that require concentration, like data entry and proofreading. Okay, so people are not only able to concentrate when listening to music, but they may even be more efficient at their jobs. But these studies are talking about data entry, proofreading, IT. These aren't exactly dangerous jobs like working with a table saw. And it's true, I didn't find any hard data on how many injuries occur in small workshops due to listening to music, but I did find a lot of studies involving something even more serious: surgery. It turns out that as many as 72% of surgeons, the guys with your life in their hands who can kill you with the slip of a scalpel, 72% of them listen to music while they operate, and not just soothing classical music. A poll of doctors showed their preferences run the full gambit, from classic rock to country, even that obnoxious stuff your kids listen to. So why isn't music a dangerous distraction to them? Because it doesn't require your attention back. If you've ever been listening to an audiobook while you're working and you realize you just missed an entire chapter because you weren't paying attention to it, you know that the brain has the ability to prioritize what it hears compared to what it's doing and what it wants to focus on. You can pick the tool over the music. Now, that doesn't mean a brain can't be distracted by anything. A person talking to you while you work, a child playing dangerously nearby, your significant other yip-yapping about who knows what. These things demand attention in return, and they can easily distract you. But music is passive. It does not demand attention back, unless you feel the need to dance along, and that has no place in a workshop. But what about the often repeated argument that you need to hear the sound of the tool so you can react to some subtle change that tells you something's about to go wrong? Well, I suppose that would depend on the tool. Can you really hear the subtle shimmy of a fraying belt on your table saw's motor through your properly rated hearing protection? Because that's the key point. Music or not, you should be wearing hearing protection, because the off chance that you may hear some subtle change in tone in your tool is not nearly as important as protecting your ears from the certain damage that can occur from unprotected exposure to many tools over time. Of course, even properly rated hearing protection doesn't block out all the noise. It merely reduces it to a safe level. So if adding music on top of that does make you uncomfortable, either because it prevents you from hearing at least some of the tool noise, or because you personally find music distracting, there's an easy option. There's always a pause button on them. So when you turn on the saw, you pause the music. You make your cuts, then you turn your music back on. It's no big deal, and it answers all the objections people usually give. Again, if you find music personally distracting while a tool is on, you should definitely not listen to music. Studies or not, you decide what's best for you. But what about the rest of us? Is there really a benefit to listening to music in the shop, I mean, I could easily recommend a good set of non-Bluetooth hearing protection. In fact, I have in the past. Why, for several years now, have I chose to use and recommend these? Well, because these saved my hearing. You see, I used to have regular earmuffs in the shop, and they worked just fine when I wore them. But all too often, they were on the other side of the shop when I needed them. Or I reasoned that I was just going to make a couple of cuts, and so I didn't want to bother with them. With these, I have them on all the time because I'm listening to music or an audiobook or a podcast while I'm working at the bench or I'm sweeping or vacuuming or whatever I'm doing in the shop. And then, when the time comes to come over to the saw and make a cut or use some other noisy tool, I don't have to think about it. I'm already protected. Of course, there may be times when you shouldn't listen to music. Some shops and job sites rely upon communication between multiple workers, or there are alarms and other audible warnings you need to be aware of. So you should absolutely check with your safety officer if you work on a job site. But in my small shop, everyone in here wears ISOtunes. Now, I personally have used all the models, and I've got various ones scattered throughout the shop, but I do have two favorites. These are the Air Defenders. I like them because they're extra lightweight, there's extra padding on the ears and on the band, which makes them more comfortable, and they don't squeeze my big head as much as other models. They also seem to seal nicely over the arms of my glasses. But if it's really hot, especially outside, mowing the lawn or something like that, then I'll use the wireless ISOtunes free earbuds. They're a bit more expensive than other earbud models, but they don't have a wire connecting the two ears, and I really like that, especially if it's hot and sweaty. I'll leave a link below that'll get you a discount on whatever model you prefer. So stop procrastinating and get yourself protected. See you next time.